A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. I'm Ritwika Gupta. Tonight, an exclusive conversation is lined up with InMobi, a global technology leader in mobile advertising solutions for brands, developers and publishers. But it is more than that. InMobi is also proudly India's first unicorn and has since evolved into a global leader in mobile advertising solutions. To understand the company's journey as well as the evolving mobile advertising landscape, on the show tonight, I'll be joined by Naveen Tewari, founder InMobi. Thank you for joining us, Naveen. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here.
So as we wrap up the year, Naveen, tell us, how would you sum up 2024 for InMobi? What have been the key learnings from the year?
Well, I think the 2024 is not just for InMobi. I think the world's gone through a very interesting set of changes, and so has InMobi. I think every business across the world, including InMobi, has gone through a very rapid change because of artificial intelligence. We have all incorporated AI in a very different way. And I think both the consumer experiences that we build and the processes that we have are going through an upheaval. They're going through a change. I think this change is here to stay. We all realize that there is something big happening with artificial intelligence in 2023, but 2024 was the first year where the real fruits of that started to come in. And so we are very excited about what we are seeing with AI in the company. For example, we are seeing how generative advertising is the future of advertising. So that's a huge thing that we have certainly started to see. Similarly, on the glance side, we can think about, we are really thinking about how the phones truly become AI-enabled and allow for generative AI-led shopping experiences to happen. So I think a lot of changes, but underlying the utilization of artificial intelligence has become central to the company. And I would say it's a shift, because it's not easy to do these things, as a company kind of running through your day-to-day, and then suddenly bringing about this change is not easy. And I think we've done I'm very proud of the team in the way in which we brought about this change.
So Naveen, our show is followed by many startup founders and MSMEs as well. Given that InMobi is India's first unicorn, could you take us through that inspiring journey and highlight some of the key moments and challenges that you faced along the way?
We just celebrated our 17 years of existence, so we of course have a history. Being the first to be on the block is something that I could have never imagined. I must tell you that, and I've always maintained that for so many years. I think the journey has had its own ups and downs, and if you ask any entrepreneur building any company, ups and downs are part of it. I think some things are very important to understand in this journey. I think one, we went for doing really big things throughout. Very early in our journey, we tried to do big things. And it was not advisable to try and do these big things, but we went for it because we realized that if we could do these big things, then it'll be amazing. The outcome would be amazing. For example, at the time when we started, nobody would build a product company out of India, but we did, because we thought the talent in India would be amazing for it. Similarly, nobody from India was really trying to build a global product company, and we said, hey, wait a second, we should try and build a global product company, because if we are successful, then the addressable market that we are going after is global in nature. So therefore, we went for that. Similarly, we decided to build a consumer platform. We of course started off as a company. We started off as a enterprise advertising platform, and then several years later we decided to add a consumer business on top of it, something most people would say you should not do, but we went for it and we've built a global consumer business in the form of Glance. The point I was trying to make is our journey, though having its ups and downs, one of the big things that we went for is to try and be very bold, audacious, global in what we try to do. Sometimes we failed, we faced failures, and few times we saw successes. The beauty of this is the failures did not wipe you away, but the successes changed the trajectory of the company. So today, as InMobi, we are across three big industries. We are in advertising, we are in the consumer space, and we are emerging as a strong player in the commerce space. And all of these three things have happened in the last 17 years. And we feel excited about this because this is the power of being very bold and being very audacious and going for it. So, you were asking me what advice I may have for people. I would say, we are living in an amazing time in this world today, where in this era that India is getting into and is already into. We owe it to ourselves to aim big. We owe it for ourselves to go for it, and because such times don't come back. And there is this whole thing about if you are able to do something big, hard, and if you're able to succeed in it, the results are unbelievably good. So that would be my input, advice, whatever you want to say, based on my own journey.
Right, and from what I understand, InMobi today has shifted from a core ad tech business to now a more consumer-focused platform. Tell us what prompted this shift and how did you navigate it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, by the way, advertising fundamentally is about, when we built the advertising platform, we had one mission. The mission was very simple: to provide the world with free internet. That's the objective function of an advertising platform. We have been very successful in that. But as we built that, we also realized if we are building such a large global advertising platform, why should we also not build on top of it a consumer service? If we build a strong consumer service, which is what we launched in the form of Glance, we have built a complete internet stack within our organization. And therefore, we now as a company have both a consumer business and an enterprise-led advertising platform. Putting them together is but natural. And therefore, we feel pretty excited about this transition of not just having an advertising platform, but also a consumer platform. And look, by the way, in my view, that also brings a new service to consumers. So in the first scenario of the enterprise platform of advertising, our mission was to give free internet to consumers. With Glance, we are revolutionizing the internet. And we are revolutionizing the internet by changing the experiences that one has on their devices. We truly feel that what the devices today have, the power of those devices is what we are trying to unlock, and therefore Glance is playing a world-leading role in making that happen. So we are very excited because, we have two very strong mission statements that we go after, and hopefully, as we continue to succeed, we'll see benefits and reap, good results out of that.
Naveen, you have emphasized a user-first approach to advertising and the role of AI in Glance's growth. How do you see AI continuing to transform mobile advertising in general?
Artificial intelligence in the world of advertising is going to be huge. One of the things that the recent advancement of artificial intelligence did is to essentially make content very easy to produce. But if you think about advertising till date, a large portion of advertising is to do with an advertising paid content coming alongside the publisher content. Those two don't necessarily match with each other. But the true form with generative AI, what one can truly do is to change the content of advertising to blend in the content of publisher in order for the end consumer experience to be far more pleasant in consuming content that's actually making the internet free for them. Today that experience is not good. Consumers still consume advertising because that's making the internet free, but that experience is not a good experience. And therefore with generative AI, I truly think as we get into generative advertising, it is going to make that experience a lot better, a lot more easy to consume. I think generative advertising is going to make the internet beautiful. And therefore, I'm very excited about where generative AI is going to play the role in advertising. And therefore, hopefully we are leading the charge on it. We are really far ahead in our thinking on that. And hopefully, soon enough, we'll show some of these things, in the market.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. What's that one piece of advice you'd give to entrepreneurs and businesses, especially in the tech and advertising sectors, as they prepare for 2025?
Every existing service in the world and the country for sure is going to go through a change because of artificial intelligence. So therefore, how do you approach a problem with an AI-first mindset is a very critical thing. I know it's almost, in the world of entrepreneurship, it's almost cliche to say that today, to say, hey, think about an AI-first solution to your problem. But what I've not yet seen is people really evolving and thinking truly fundamentally big about artificial intelligence yet.
Welcome back. You're watching IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12 in conversation with Naveen Tewari, founder of InMobi, who in this segment sheds light on the landscape for Indian entrepreneurs and their ability to scale today. Listen in. So InMobi has also expanded globally. Tell us then, what advice would you give to other Indian businesses looking to go global? And what should they be aware of, when tapping into foreign markets?
Absolutely. By the way, I am a big believer in building businesses for the globe. I truly believe that India has an opportunity to build software for the globe. I've always maintained that. I think Indian product organizations, not services, Indian product organizations will write software, will build products on which the world will run. Now, that's an opportunity right up here that we have to basically take. What is required for this? Well, for one, you need to build innovative products that they're not copy of the existing products that already exist globally. Once you create innovative products, you have a huge opportunity to take them out there. So that's one. Second, I think there's a huge mental barrier in thinking about the global opportunity. It's not hard, it may be a little hard, but it's not that hard. Like, one should just go for it. Like, the amount of opportunity that gets unlocked as you think about global markets is unbelievable. If you truly want to build a company, let's say, you can build a company of size X in India, but if you have a product that has global appeal, the size of that company, if you succeed, is going to be 10 to 50x. And therefore, that's what's required to create companies that can compete at global levels. And therefore, one must do this. I do fear that if technology companies in India do not go after global markets, what will happen is that the other companies which have global products will start to enter our market and subsidize the consumers in India or the enterprises in India and take them away. And therefore, it's not just a good to have strategy to go out there. It is also required to be, from a defensive perspective, to be able to essentially scale yourself globally. We see the benefits of this as InMobi and as Glance. It's amazing as you cater to the global environment because it unlocks opportunities of a very different nature.
Fantastic. Naveen, how do you see the landscape for Indian startups, MSMEs and entrepreneurs, and also their ability to scale today? And with your experience, investing in many startups, what do you look for when identifying promising opportunities?
Look, I think there is a huge change in the last 15 years of entrepreneurship in this country. For once, the markets are the best they have ever been in the last, many, many decades. It's very important for the tailwind to be towards you. And so therefore, the public markets are really open. They're really looking for, high technology organizations because the stock market wants that. And they're sitting there to say, hey, if you have a high quality company, we will give you the credit for scaling rapidly. So one, the market is ready. It's far more ready than it has ever been. Second, I think the quality of entrepreneurs is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Few months ago, and my daughter is in school, and she did a survey in her class to say, hey, how many of you, would be interested in entrepreneurship? And the results were astonishing because almost like 50 to 60% of the students, in some shape and form indicated that they want to be an entrepreneur. It's never happened before. When I was growing up, that was not the case. So you have the quality of entrepreneurship where entrepreneurship has actually become mainstream. Startups have become mainstream. Best people want to join startups. The risk takers today think about starting companies. So therefore, your environment today has totally changed. The third is that the Indian market, from a consumer spend perspective, is also riding a wave. And I think that's really, really important because therefore you can build a business. And fourth, which is I think most important, I think the cost of building companies has drastically lowered. Technology companies, I mean. And why has it lowered? For once, the cost of cost of writing software is plummeting towards zero. And the pace of it has gone probably 10 to 50x in the last 10 years. That's the power of technology that's truly changing in our country. And I think our infrastructure that is required for internet to be really powerful exists. So I don't see any reason for our country not to really go berserk in terms of scaling companies. Now, what do I look for? I only look for one thing when I talk to any entrepreneur. Are you thinking big enough? Are you solving a really hard problem? Are you really going for it or not? Because I think, if you're going to work hard, if you're going to do, if you're going to give everything that you got, are you going for something big? Because if you are, then that's an interesting conversation to have, because you know what? You would want to be associated with things that change the world, and not just things that just do nice to have. And so therefore, that's my criteria. And I truly enjoy meeting entrepreneurs today.
So as we look ahead to 2025, what are the biggest trends you expect that will shape the mobile advertising landscape? You spoke extensively about AI, but are there other trends that you're excited about?
Well, I talked about that. I think generative advertising is the big trend that's going to change advertising for sure. That's one. Second, advertising, by the way, has also become the underpinning of profitability on any digital business, especially any transacting business. So you would see almost every internet company in the world, and in India for sure, adopting advertising because that drives profitability. Both of those are amazing signs for advertising, and I feel very kicked about it.
And finally, I know you've answered this, but what's that one piece of advice you'd give to entrepreneurs and businesses, especially in the tech and advertising sectors, as they prepare for 2025?
I think there is, I talked about a bunch of things, but because specifically if you're asking for 2025, I think every existing service in the world and the country for sure is going to go through a change because of artificial intelligence. So therefore, how do you approach a problem with an AI-first mindset is a very critical thing. I know it's almost, in the world of entrepreneurship, it's almost cliche to say that today, to say, hey, think about an AI-first solution to your problem. But what I've not yet seen is people really evolving and thinking truly fundamentally big about artificial intelligence yet. A lot of those things are making a process easier, which, by the way, does not create a moat for the business. So I think people in the last year or so are confusing doing something more swiftly as a business, and that's not going to last as a business, because it's not that you did something amazing. Everybody else is also able to do the same thing. So therefore, I think when you think about an AI-first business model, you have to be very, very, very advanced, and you have to truly think about how is that changing something that exists out there. And I think that's the opportunity that sits in front of us.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Naveen. It was a pleasure having you.
All right, thank you so much for inviting me. Truly enjoyed this.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.